Here we go. I'm here. Hi team, and welcome to my living room. Hi, I'm RP, nice to meet you. But hello and welcome. So, because I've been away for like so long, I thought it would be a really good idea to come and do like a I'm back, hello style thing. And the way I'm doing that is through this Authortube Newie Tag. So this has existed for ages, right? I've seen loads of people do it. I've seen like various different versions. The version I'm stealing is from Danica Gray, where they have put together like Authortube Tag 2.0 and 1.0, picked some favourites and reshuffled them, and I kind of liked that order a bit nicer, so creds to Danica for the reshuffle, and then in Danica's video I think she creds whoever she nicked it from. Also, fun side note, the new Panda Shrine. It's got its own shelf now. Just putting it out there. So question 1, if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? Now this is an interesting one, right? Because I honestly have no idea how I pitch myself as a book. And I think it's because, especially like over the last couple of years, I think I've changed so much. So like every year or so I've been like a totally different person, which is probably not a good thing, but I'm finding myself. No, the other issue is I'm really bad at finishing books. Like I will be writing a project and I will get like 25,000 words in and I'll be like, okay, done. So I don't know what that says about me as a book. Am I going to get to 25? Anyway, I don't know, I think I'd say I'm definitely like a contemporary piece, because I feel like I'm too extravagant to have been anything like based on history. But in the same aspect, I never write contemporary. I've got like a real angst almost about writing like the modern era. I don't know why, I just really hate, like the second I start writing something, if I think at any point that any of my characters are going to text each other, I hate that, I really do. Like, I just can't do it. I just can't write contemporary. It's something that's really difficult, which is annoying, because that's actually one of the questions later on, so I've just ruined that question. But yeah, if I was to pitch myself as a book, I would say I am the, what would be like my cliche? I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think this babble has defined me as like the kooky sidekick. I would not be a protagonist, let's be real. So I think it's defined me as like the kooky sidekick to the... do you know who I am? I'm LeFou from Beauty and the Beast. I always try and have like the popular friend. I never realise that they're actually evil, and I'm just trying to live my best life. So it's not really as a book, but if I was to pitch myself, I'm LeFou. Question 2, what made you want to start writing? I honestly don't remember. This is going to sound like really cliche, but I've been writing forever. I can remember the first thing I ever tried to properly write. And as a kid, I used to love A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket and Beast Quest by Adam Blade. And I remember that, for anyone that doesn't know what they are, you should know what A Series of Unfortunate Events is, but if anyone doesn't know what they are, basically A Series of Unfortunate Events is written like in a really sarky sort of tone, and it's about these 3 orphans that discover their parents were like part of some secret society and might not have burned down with their like house and family fortune, and they get passed from like relative to relative to relative, but the relative keeps end up being like this villain that's just trying to like kidnap them to claim their fortune. I don't think that's spoilers. No, that pretty much is all evident in the first book. So there's that. And then Beast Quest was basically this... Wow, apparently I had a thing with orphans. This orphan who like lost his dad. Turns out his dad was like a really amazing warrior. Gets invited to go speak to the king. And the king's like, oh, all the magical beasts like protect our land who have been like enchanted, and you need to go and like free them. They're like proper kids books. But I really loved them. And I remember the first thing I ever tried to properly write was to basically try and combine those 2 things together. And it was something like... it was like in the style of Lemony Snicket, but it was about magical beasts, and it was about trio of friends. You can see I sort of merged it. These like trio of friends that were going to sort of go around like the everyday world and encounter like the beasts that control our everyday lives that we don't realise. So for example, like you go into a regular bank, but it like the underground is being run by this like giant octopus monster thing that's sorting all the money into places, and just the regular humans have no idea it's there. It was like that sort of vibe. And I remember that was the first thing I ever like properly tried to write. It didn't go well. I remember it having maybe like 15,000 words, and I definitely was a year 6, which puts me at what, like 12? Something like that. I don't really know what age kids go to school, but something like that. So that was interesting. And then sort of from there, I've just always wanted to like create my own stories and stuff. I'm very experienced in theatre. I've been doing acting for 17 of my years now. I'm actually a performing arts teacher as well. I've been teaching for 4 years. So I'm very sort of like story driven and theatrical, if you couldn't tell. And I think that sort of is where a lot of my writing wants to come from. I think it comes from these stories and these ideas that I spin around. And I'm like, hey, that would be fun to explore. You know, let's roll that dice, see what happens with it. Question 3 says, how did you find out about Authortube? Funny story. So this has actually been spoken about on my channel before, so if you've been sticking around for like the last year or so, you may have already heard this, but if you're new, hi, I'm RP, nice to meet you. So basically what I was doing is I was sitting in lockdown, right, when the pandemic hit in 2020, and I was sort of trying to work on a project that I'd been working on for a while, and I remember sort of just sitting there on Google and typing in like writers or like writing tips or, you know, stuff like that. I just finished my first year of English literature and creative writing at university. One of the things that my uni kept saying was, you know, writing isn't like a solitary community, you know, it's not about sort of writers locking themselves away anymore. You know, there are communities and stuff, and I just didn't know any existed. I wasn't in any. So I was typing away on YouTube, trying to basically find anything, and I came across Sarah LeBrot. I really like enjoyed her like style of videos, and then I found her live streaming with Angela Ann, and then it's just sort of spiraled from there, and I sort of then just sort of kept stumbling across new people, pretty much all of which are now my friends, and I speak to on sort of quite a regular basis. So that's really fun. And so that's pretty much where I discovered Authortube, and I want to say I'd been sort of watching a load of people's videos for probably a few months before I was like, hey, why don't I like give this a go? Like, I had done some YouTube stuff before. I used to have like some gaming channels dotted around. None of them exist anymore, if you ask. I was like, well, why don't I give this a go? You know, I'll pick up my phone, I'll start recording and see what happens. I think sort of the premise that I had, I don't know, part of me was like, well, I want to sort of hold myself accountable, you know, I've got nothing else to do in lockdown, and I want to get these projects finished. So I was like, why don't I just start recording, start joining in on these live streams, you know, chatting away to people, see what they're writing about, you know, like, you know, work off each other for inspiration, hype each other up, you know, that sort of stuff. It was that part that I sort of found so intriguing. So the next question is, what is my work in progress about? So you'll see sort of a little bit more about this in like future videos and stuff, but basically if I was to like pitch my current work in progress, is it's an like an alternate history historical fiction. I don't know what category that is, it's kind of new to me, which I know sounds a bit bizarre, right? I normally am a horror writer or a thriller writer. I read a lot of crime, you know, that sort of stuff. But recently I'm actually working on a historical novel. So it's basically set in the ancient desert. Okay. I'm very much one of these people, I don't like too many specifics in a book, primarily just because I don't remember them. This is why I'm not a fan of fantasy, because I just will never ever remember all the different names for things. And so it means that when writing, I like to sort of keep a lot of things up for interpretation. So for example, I'm saying like it's set in the ancient desert, you know, the descriptions and everything give you the idea that it is not necessarily our current time, but I'm never time specific. It's not something I'm interested in. You know, I don't see why telling you it's 51 AD, that I don't understand why that helps, you know, unless you're a particular nut and go, oh, I wonder if Julius Caesar's going to rock up and die next year, like, I don't know. Like, you know, there's no real point to it to me, so, and then equally location, you know, is this Egypt, is this, I don't know, like North America, you know, it doesn't matter like what plains, desert it is, no it doesn't. And also because I'm going to sort of like be merging a lot of things, so that's something else I really like to do. I like to play off of real life events, so I will probably be, in fact I've already started doing it, I will be including like bits from some cultures, bits from other cultures, and like merging them together. This is why I'm saying it's like an alternate history. So it will be very close to what our Earth is like, but it's not definitely our Earth. And I don't really have a plotline yet, that's why you're getting like a lot of world building here. The plotline essentially that I've got is, I've got a protagonist who has just left some sort of fight, pretty battled up, and is seeking civilization for help. And I I think that's basically my plot. And it's essentially this person's journey of what they find along the way, how different cultures will react differently, where these cultures are, you know, it's sort of like an exploration. And I really like that sort of writing. So it's a bit different, a bit kooky, but you will be getting like a little series of updates as and when I'm writing it. So if you want to keep updated, hit that big red subscribe button below and you'll find out more as and when it exists. To answer the next question earlier, it says, what's something you'll never write? I think for me that potentially is fantasy. Just because I think there's so much planning and so much that goes into fantasy and so much to remember. I just don't think I would ever have the patience for it. Which also slightly answers the next question. Am I a planner, a pantser, or a plantser, I think is the phrases? I don't know, right? I really struggle with some of these stuff because Authortube is so American heavy that I can't even figure out how to say some of these words in this British accent that I have. So, bear with me. But anyway, do I plan is the question. No, I don't. I definitely just run it off and just see what happens. I just like to go with the flow. I like to have like an idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have a starting idea. I might have like a middle idea, start running with it, and not know it's the middle until very later. I don't know. Like I said, I sometimes don't even get past like a 25,000 word mark. So I don't even know why I'm pretending that I know that I have a regular routine or strategy, because I really don't. The closest thing I've ever got to finishing was I finished a novella, which was about 52,000, which I'm going to come back to at some point, so that's something else you guys are going to see on this channel, because while I liked what I was doing, I don't like how I've done it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit that and change it, and again, you'll see all my updates on that if you stick around. But in terms of like my style, I don't think I'll ever write a fantasy. I can't see myself ever writing a romance, because I just hate romances. I'm really sorry. I just can't deal with a romance. They're too soppy, they're too sappy, and all the decisions are just constantly illogical in everything I've ever, in my experience of reading and everything I've ever read. It's just always really illogical. It's like, oh, here's a really good idea. What if you don't do it and hopefully you might get a kiss on the cheek? Grow up. So I can't see myself writing romance either. And the final question I'm going to be answering is, do I have like a publishing path? No, is the answer. Would I love to be traditionally published? Yes. Would I love to see... I'm going to say my name. Disclaimer, RP Winters is not my real name. Surprise? Spoiler? I don't know. If you've been on Authortube a while, you'll know that I originally went by a different name, which is closer to my real name. Still isn't my real name, but is closer to my real name. So when I say would I like to see like my name in a bookshop, I would. I don't know if I'm going to sort of use my own name eventually, or if I stick with this. Full transparency, the reason why I use this name is because, like I said, I'm a performing arts teacher, and it's very important to my teaching career that I sort of do every step I can to make sure that my students can't access me outside of lessons. That involves like I don't have like personal social medias that are available to the public or anything like that, because I need to not be accessible. So that's why I've got a pen name. That's where my pen name comes from. This particular name that I've chosen is actually like an homage to some family members of mine. It's got like personal stories attached and stuff, which you don't need to know, but it's fine. So that's sort of where RP Winters has come from. But that's the name I'm using for now. That's definitely my YouTube pen name if I don't keep it for everything else. But would I love to see myself in bookstores? Yes, I would. So traditional publishing is definitely an option. However, am I also aware there's probably like some, I'm going to say like niche stories that I probably wouldn't imagine would get traditionally published for like, you know, sales reasons, for like corporate business reasons. Would I very probably self-publish those so I have a bit more sort of control over those sort of more intimate stories? Probably, so maybe there's a hybrid path going ahead. But honestly, I'm just one of these people where I would rather just write what I want to write, see what happens, and hey, if an opportunity comes up, I'll grab an opportunity. But that is all the questions I'm going to be answering for today. I hope you feel like you've got to know me a bit. If you are new here, please hit the like button below, subscribe and stick around. I've got some other vids you can go check out. I look a bit different. I was doing this thing with facial hair. I'm over it now. It was a phase. It was definitely a lockdown thing. My hair was slowly growing out, so it's like a whole thing, right? I look different near enough like every couple of months, but we're dealing with it, okay? If you can deal with it, stick about. And if you're a returning member, it's so lovely to see you again. Stick your like a name down in the comments, say hi, let me know that you're doing okay. It's great to see you all, and I will see you next time.